We can walk across fire. We can do what others say can't be done.
This week's talk is called "You Can Have Your Cake and Eat It Too." Many of you have heard the saying, you can't have your cake and eat it too. And because of that form of the expression, which may or may not be the original form, and we can talk about that later, many folks, including me, would argue, what's the point of having cake if you can't eat it? But of course, that's not what the statement means at all. It's saying once you've eaten your cake, you don't have it anymore. So either you hold your cake or you eat it, but you can't do both. But I am saying that I disagree with that. In fact, you can eat your cake and still have cake, just the way you can spend money and still have money. You can give your love and still have love. You can give your energy and still have tons of energy. That particular piece of cake or energy or money or love may be gone, but we live in a limitless universe. And so, of course, there is more coming. There is more there. There's more right there with you. It's just that we forget that. And we try to hold on to the little that we have, thinking that we do have little. And it may actually appear that we have little. So we better hold on to it because it's all we got, when in fact that can't be the truth. Dr. Holmes tells us, since we are dealing with that which is limitless, knowing no big and no little, the possibility of our demonstration rests in our acknowledgement of and our embodiment of the idea of what we desire. What does that mean? Well, it's a well-known fact that the universe is expanding, but expanding into what? And why is that important to us that the universe is expanding? It's important because if the universe were afraid of running out of space, it would slow down. And instead, according to physicists, it's speeding up, moving full force into whatever, and somehow knowing that whatever it's expanding into is there in limitless abundance. Dr. Holmes continues, the universe is inexhaustible. It is limitless, knows no bounds, and has no confines. We are not depending on a reed shaken by the wind, but on the principle of life itself, for all that we have or ever shall need. It is not some power or a great power, it is all power. All we have to do is to believe, never wavering, no matter what happens. As we do this, we shall find that things are steadily coming our way, and that we are coming without that awful effort which destroys the peace of mind of the majority of the race. We know that there can be no failure in God's mind, and this mind is the power on which we are depending. Imagine yourself behaving like the universe, running headlong into the unknown, and simply knowing that whatever you're running headlong into has plenty of room for you to run, even if you can't see that that room is there. Back to Dr. Holmes. The person who can throw himself with complete abandon into the limitless sea of receptivity, having cut loose from all apparent moorings, is the one who will always receive the greatest reward. Imagine yourself believing in the limitlessness of everything and knowing that all is within your reach. If you are willing to dive in headlong into it, at full speed ahead, the possibility is always at hand. Now, this is scary stuff. At full speed ahead, I've done that and crashed and burned. I've done that and experienced miracles. I'm sure you've experienced both as well, so what makes the difference? The motivation behind diving in at full speed ahead, that makes the difference. If I dive in to overcome fear, crash and burn. If I dive in because I thought I should, crash and burn. If I dive in even because I was inspired by others to do so, crash and burn. The only times I dived in full speed ahead and experienced those miracles was when I asked myself the question, is this mine to do? And gotten a full being yes, a knowing, that sense that you know without a doubt that something is yours to do. You know what I'm talking about. Everyone has experienced sometime in their life a moment where afterwards, when everything had gone brilliantly, no matter how high the risk or fear, you're telling the story to someone and the words come out of your mouth in some form or another, I knew I had to do that. You knew it. There was no doubt, no second thought. You knew it. It turned out brilliantly, miraculously, beyond what you even thought was possible. And that's what it's been like being with my beloved Ashley. I'm knowing and I'm moving at full speed ahead. I saw her post on Facebook and knew I had to contact her. She answered my message in under 2 minutes. We wound up speaking for over 2 hours. She lives where I never wanted to live, but I knew I wanted her. After just 3 days, I knew I wanted to meet this woman in person. Within 2 weeks of our first contact, we had booked 2 visits, one of her coming to me and one of me going to her. The second I laid eyes on her in person, I knew I wanted to spend the rest of my life with her. I knew it. Within 6 months, we were living together. In less than a year, she said yes to marrying me. When you know, you know. That's it. Full speed ahead. It's been the same with my Center for Spiritual Living and the same for the film I am now in the process of raising the financing for. When you know, you know. And it works the same the other way too. When you don't know, you don't know. I see folks move all the time and they have doubts about it, and mostly because they get impatient. Have you ever done that? Moved on something because you got tired of waiting? How did that turn out for you? I know I've moved when I moved for any other reason than knowing it was mine to do, things did not turn out all that well. Usually I wound up spinning my wheels, doing a lot of stuff over again, and it was filled with a lot of frustration. And even if it ultimately did work out, like most of life tends to do, the journey was extremely difficult and a very uphill battle. Does that mean if you only move when it's yours to do, things will move with grace and ease and you will live happily ever after? No, I'm not saying that either. But when it's yours to do, hard work doesn't tend to feel like struggle. And there is a great joy attached to that work because you feel so on purpose. And isn't that what you want? To feel on purpose. The best way to do that is to know what is yours to do and stick with doing that and only that. Back to Dr. Holmes. Realizing then that while the power is limitless, it must become operative through our own embodiment. We shall see that what we need is not some greater power, but a greater consciousness, a deeper realization of life, a more sublime concept of being, a more intimate concept of an already indwelling God, who is personal to us by virtue of being personified as us. Ours is the privilege of giving birth to the unborn possibility of limitless experience. Ours is the privilege of giving birth to the unborn possibility of limitless experience. That's what it's all about. So step 1, don't limit what you think or believe is possible. This is an ever-expanding universe, infinite in nature, limitless in possibility. Whenever you hear yourself say there's not enough, whether it be time, resources, or whatever, challenge that statement and remember the truth. Whatever we think we've used up can't be used up because it is a limitless and constantly expanding universe at an ever-increasing rate. Whatever you think you're not enough, challenge that thought. How can you be less than the one that created everything out of itself? You are not a separate being from this one. You are this one. This is the ever-expanding, limitless beyond measure. Do you honestly believe that the same power that creates new galaxies all the time created you with less than what you need to have your dreams come true? Not a chance. Step 1 is to get rid of any thought or belief as they arise that might limit you or your dreams. You cannot be too old. You cannot be too young. You cannot be not strong enough, not good enough. None of these are even possible because the only possibility is the limitless possibility. And there are folks who prove that all the time. People draw a line in the sand and say stuff like it's impossible to run under a 4-minute mile. Then someone does it. It's impossible to hold your breath for more than 3 minutes. Then someone does it. It's impossible to cure an uncurable disease, and then someone does it. The doctors told me I only had 3 days to live, and that was over 20 years ago. Don't let anyone tell you what you can or can't accomplish, no matter what the limitations appear to look like. Those limitations mean nothing in an expanding, limitless universe. You are made out of the same stuff that makes galaxies. Nothing is impossible. Step 2, ask, is it yours to do? An incredibly important question, not asked by many, including myself in the past, that led to many a crash and burn. There is no greater and empowering question as this. Nothing is a greater guide for you than your own inner knowing, your own inner GPS. This is your personal divine channeling. The quieter you become and listen to that which is speaking within you, the greater you learn to follow that inner guidance that has been there since the day you took human form, and most likely long before that, and will be there long after that. The more purpose your life will hold, the more joy you will experience. Ask yourself this question as many times as need be. Sit with the question until you get that yes. You have not been given a single dream without the wherewithal to accomplish it. And your inner GPS is doing everything it can to guide you step by step towards your dream's fulfillment. Another quote, and so let's end here with another quote by Dr. Holmes. Each of us is in direct relationship to the whole. Each of us is an image of God, but God is not lessened by being represented in innumerable forms and through limitless numbers of mentalities any more than the figure 5 gets exhausted by being used in it by innumerable mathematicians. Our consciousness of God is our real self. When we know that we are using such power, all doubt as to our ability to use it will vanish, and our words will be spoken with spontaneous reliance on truth. The truth is that we are powerful, creative, spiritual beings with limitless possibility. With such a power at our command, of course we can have our cake and eat it too. Thank you. I love you.